TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
We have Mike from Chicago on the line, and he has a question about digestion.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, guys. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
First of all, I just wanted to say that I love the show. I think it's great programming, and I'm very much of a like mind when it comes to, taking control of your own health and certainly doing your own research.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico Haan and Paige Clarke.
Happy Friday. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world to take back control of our personal choices, as well as our health and our freedoms. I'm Nico Haan. Paige is doing some continuing education. She'll be back soon. It's a beautiful day here in downtown Clearwater. It's 75 degrees, kind of overcast. We're going to have a lot of rain this weekend. But the good thing is we're going to have a nice cold front because it's been pretty warm here in Florida, which kind of expect, I guess. Please subscribe to my Health Signals newsletter. I got a new one coming your way right now. And please order our new Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. We've gotten a lot of good reviews on this product. I encourage you to, try it. Try a sample, one bottle if you wish. Best way to do it, though, get right on the bandwagon, $89 a month. You'll have it delivered to your door every single month. And you'll have a month's supply, and I think you're going to love the product. It's going to save you a lot of money, because if you're buying vitamins, real good quality vitamins over the counter, it's costly. And this is a one-shot wonder. And Paige and I worked on this for almost a year, mostly Paige, but I was encouraged. So, please pick that up. You can do this, of course, with your Tiger Dollars if you wish, and it's all on the TFNN.com website. And we're also taking your phone calls at 877-927-6648. Boy, a lot of news. I guess we should just address what happened this whole last week, since last Friday. I got home and we heard about the terrorists, of course, and, I've said many times this is a symptom of our society, and I guess it's getting worse. I'm glad my dad, in 1951, decided to leave Holland and take his whole family with him. And most of my family, all my cousins and everything, came over shortly after that to Canada. And we moved to the United States in the early 60s. And I'm very thankful for his vision, because one of the main reasons that he moved out of Europe was he felt there was going to be problems there. And a lot of the problems he felt would come from the Muslim community, because even at that time, there was a lot of infiltration into these countries after the war from the Middle East even then. But now, of course, you're having thousands and thousands of these people coming. And I say these people not in a derogatory sense at all, because the majority of them are just like you and I, pretty much educated. Those are the first people that kind of flee and have the smarts to get out when there's big problems. Certainly big problems in the Middle East. I don't see that ending anytime soon. Is it coming over here? Well, maybe. I don't know. I take a little solitude in the fact that more people are armed over in this country, and I think after this, probably more people will get more armed. And I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, as long as they're the good guys, I guess. And who are the good guys? We really don't know anymore, do we? It's a symptom of our society, and it just really starts with just a country being a country, or even corporations kind of do this too. They want to secure their territory, and that's the first thing the country does when they're born, kind of, is secure a territory, put a fence up, so to speak, even if it's imaginary fence, because this is ours, it's not yours. And their aim is to protect that at all costs, sort of giving us freedom, so we think. But freedom is something that we're born with. I think it's kind of inherent. Our forefathers certainly seem to know this. In the Constitution, we have some wonderful, wonderful documents that really state that it's kind of understood that we're free first. And the only thing you can do is take that away from us in small chunks. And certainly in France, that's happening now, maybe in all the other countries too. But, and when these people are in your country and they're speaking your language and they're adhering to your customs, it's kind of stealthy out there, so it's very, very difficult. I always really don't like living in fear. And when I turn that TV on, I seem to get bombarded with that. So my wife and I have really cut down the TV watching, especially news. I certainly want to be informed, but I can feel it inside me when I watch this stuff. Hours and hours and hours. It's all we see. There's more to life than this. My wife and I have been taking a practice of having saunas quite often. I take them every single day. And I take them about 8 o'clock at night. And it gives me about 40 minutes in the sauna all by myself, nice and quiet, receiving that really good energy. And then after that, we don't have the TV on anymore. And we find that we're sitting around reading, we're chatting, getting to know each other a little better, and enjoying life just a little bit more. I encourage all people to do this. Get rid of those TVs. You know, maybe put yourself a little document together and have an agreement when the TV is going to be on for a certain amount of time and enjoy a couple of shows that might be on. But there's other ways of communicating. Certainly, you know, I often talk about, you know, we were born in the wild, not us per se, but as a species. And this is how we survived. And I think surviving in the wild is probably one of the most exciting things that you can do. I don't think you need to look for other excitements than that. If you can survive in the wild, being a type of hunter and gatherer is probably the ultimate kind of buzz for me, thinking about that. Have I ever done it? No, not really. I've been out in the woods. I've hunted a little. I've fished mostly, caught my own fish. And there's some great satisfaction in, you know, catching your own food, and whether it's vegetables or fish or whether it's a mammal or not, I don't think to me it really makes any difference, because you connect with those that food when you gather it yourself, when you get it yourself, when you have to prepare it yourself. And then as a community, whether it's just your family or a larger part of your community, you go out someplace and eat. And if you could go to a feast where people are making something they've caught, it's just a nicer feeling about the whole thing. And I think it's probably healthier too, certainly healthier from a community standpoint. And I think those are the types of things that I always look back on and say, you know, we need more of these things. But, you know, in this life now, how in the heck do you start going backwards to try to get this? I don't think there is any road backwards. So we have to find some way of doing it just on an individual basis. Start maybe by getting some people in your neighborhood together and talking about this and discussing how maybe you can eat in a community. Maybe going from different place to different place. We really don't have communities where maybe you can do this, but, you know, set out in your backyard, build a fire if it's legal, have a barbecue, or just invite people into your home and have a nice gathering. You can talk, you can play music, you can play games, you can get to know each other a little bit, get to know the children. But when you're invested in the people around you by communicating like this, by eating like this, by sharing stories, by sharing ideas, talking about protecting yourselves. Who do I call when there's some emergency? I mean, we're relying on 911. We're relying on the ambulance to come. We're relying on the fire truck to come. Some days these things may not come. And who are you going to call? You need to be in touch with the people that are close to you. Close proximity is best. But if you don't have that, at least go a little bit farther out. I often mention, you know, the community that we have at Gracie Baja Clearwater. When there is a crisis, and there is always a crisis somewhere along the line during the year, we band together. We help each other. We have the faith in each other that things will get done when we band together, because we know each other. We fight every day together. It's a beautiful thing. If you're cooking this way, if you know you go to a restaurant once a week and you know those people, you know that that's a small community too. But wouldn't it be much nicer if we did it ourselves, if we fixed the meals ourselves, if we gathered in our own community and started projects like this? You start feeling safer. You know the people you can count on. Also, I recommend people, if you're going to get weapons of any kind, learn how to use these weapons. I'm not a gun owner. I've never owned a gun. I've learned to use a gun, and I'm pretty good with the darn thing. So if I'm going to purchase a gun, I'm going to go weekly to the range to learn how to use this thing, take it apart, put it back together so I can get comfortable with it. If I had small children, I'd teach them how to use it. I'd teach my wife how to use it. and I'd lock it up at home. Same with knives and things like that. Learn how to use these things in close quarters, because this is guerrilla warfare. I don't know if it's coming, but why not be prepared and learn something useful? One of the things that I love about jiu-jitsu is that it's a defensive. What I'm trying to do is stop you from doing things. And I think that's important, because it's a different mindset than the aggression that we see every single day on the TV with these terrorists, with them maybe coming to America, but certainly now we know that they're really entrenched in France, with the French. And also now in Mali, I guess it was this morning, that was, I think, a French outpost. Wasn't that the French Congo? The French were one of those first nations that went into the Middle East and established themselves to rule over these people. The British were next, and of course we came later as Americans. But these people have been under our siege for years and years for their natural resources. And really not us paying much attention to them, not giving them as a people anything, only to the heads of the people, like in Saudi Arabia, giving the prince all the money and all the other people get, way, way less. Of course, it happens in this country too. So just wanted to get the kind of off my chest. It's a difficult thing. And I think it pays volumes to talk about this and discuss this, not in a way to scare you, to say this is coming, but to maybe prepare you a little bit better emotionally and mentally. Wrap your head around these things, knowing, Tom and I, in the morning when he works out, we talk about these things. And we have to get our brain kind of changed a little bit to not be aggressive like they are, but still be people, still be able to take care of ourselves and not put up with the crap. And also, the next step is, of course, is the government going to put much more restriction on us? In France, now they're having this new law come in where if you look aggressive, you can be arrested. That's looking aggressive can be different in different cultures to everything. I remember my mother. In Holland, they have an expression when somebody's talking to you, instead of saying, oh yeah, and stuff like that, they say, ach, it's more of a guttural sound. And I remember that particular thing happening when my mother was talking, and she'd do, ach this and ach that, and people were looking at her strange in Canada saying, what the heck, is this person insulting me? That's how much of a clash just language is and the culture is. So, it's understanding is where all this thing starts. So, talk about it with your friends and talk about how to protect yourselves and how to maybe change your life a little bit by taking that TV off. Still be informed. There's plenty of ways we can be informed, but maybe to calm the nerves a little bit and not feel so riled up over this whole thing. Anyway, the number here is 877-927-6648. We'll be back in a few minutes, and please pick up from Primal Edge and pick up my new newsletter. Get a chance to talk about that a little later. We'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Direction's daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Thanks for sticking around, folks. I get a lot of emails from people. I really appreciate that. They send me articles, ask me questions and things like that. And what's been in the news lately, I know that John had sent me something on the salmon, and Danny in the chat room has been talking about the engineered salmon. And what's happened, of course, we've had the Atlantic salmon, which was introduced quite a while ago, and it was spliced with a gene from some kind of a crab or something. I forget exactly what, to make it grow a little bit faster. But now this whole thing has been approved by the FDA to go on the market. The salmon that they're using is quite a small salmon, very nutritious, but now they have spliced the gene into it to make it grow twice as big and a lot faster. Can this be good for us? I'm thinking not. Usually when these things grow larger, what happens is the skew of, and this is naturally what I'm talking about, and they're farmed, their omega-3 ratio changes, and much more of the omega that are inflammatory instead of anti-inflammatory. There's a lot more of that in there. You can almost see it when you cut these fish open, and you can do this with meat too. The fat that doesn't look real good is the fat that isn't real good. You can do this with beef. You'll find that if you have a nice ribeye with that was, farm raised, out in the wild, kind of, not quite, but at least the next step, and it's eating grass and is allowed to run around. When you get that on your plate, the fat that's on there is really good. It melts in your mouth right away, and it's not as marbled as some of the other ones where they finish them with grain, or if they, produce in these factory farms with a lot of grain. There's a lot more fat content in there, and that fat is much more inflammatory than it is not. So the same thing is happening with the fish in a way. The other thing is that I got a message from, I think it was Ethan, and he said, let me see, where is this thing? He was talking about the, oh, here it is, sorry. What are your thoughts about cold-pressed juice products? Well, you know, my opinion about juicing, first of all, is that you're taking only part of the plant itself or the fruit itself. So you're not eating the whole thing. And actually, you're eating the worst part of it. That's going to spike your sugar. And my reply to him was, well, the problem with juicy of any kind is that the natural sugars of the fruit are separated from the pulp of the fruit, which might spike your sugar, which could shut off your fat burning, usually does. Then your body's in a panic mode trying to get rid of the sugar and the insulin because that's spiked. Whole foods are usually a better choice if it's local, organic, and seasonal. And that is really the point I want to make. Local fruit. Organic fruit, but seasonal fruit. That was a little talk last night, and a lot of people didn't know what the season was for any fruits here in Florida, except maybe citrus, which is usually in the spring, I think. Some of them around Christmas. Of course, that's not indigenous, so that's another problem too. Is it actually local? Is it organic? Is it seasonal? And is it indigenous to the area? And then did you eat the whole thing or you just eat part of it? So you have to look at food at a different way. If you're looking out in the wild, you wouldn't want to waste part of it. It's just the thinking that you have. There's a whole different thinking of being out in the wild, and there's a whole different thinking about what you should be carrying. Because when we're domesticated, I know I look in my house and I've got a whole room that I could probably get rid of as far as possessions are concerned. We hang on to things, and that's completely different to an indigenous person. Because he doesn't want to carry around a lot of stuff. It doesn't make any sense. You don't need it. You can usually find things in the wild to use that kind of mimic all these little tools and things that we have. And that's kind of the mindset of hunter and gatherers. There's no reason to make something, to make a fork and a knife and a spoon when you can actually use twigs and chopsticks and not have to carry them around. Makes sense to me. So, you know, we really have to look at what is whole food and how are we going to get whole food when the trucks stop bringing it in. When there's a terrorist situation, the rest of the service is kind of shut down. You know, you've got a state of emergency now in France. These people are under a big cloak. We've never experienced that too much in this country, you know. We've had the riots back in the 60s and 70s. But we really haven't felt the big threat of being occupied by either terrorists or another force or your own government or whatever. I think we're occupied in this country more by large corporations. And that's kind of what Danny was inferring to, that the government is now sponsoring this frankenfood, this fish that is not a natural fish, that's in a net all its life and confined, not swimming around. Doesn't make any sense, does it? Folks, we'll be right back. Stick around.
You've heard Nico Haan as co-host of Living a Primal Lifestyle, which airs every Friday at noon Eastern Time on TFNN, and would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Hi, folks. Nico here on Living a Primal Lifestyle. And, well, we've been talking about a lot of things, but I got another thing sent to me by Alan this morning. It was the number of Americans using 5 or more drugs nearly doubles. You know, one of the first medical references to the term polypharmacy is in a 1959 New England Journal of Medicine paper warning of the growing number of multiple drug preparations on the market. It even harkened back to the ancient times. One of the first such preparations, a concoction known as theriac, used for poisonous animal bites. It was made from a quill, which was a flowering bulb, a viper's flesh, opium, and honey. Today, polypharmacy refers to people taking 5 or more prescription drugs. And according to a paper Tuesday in JAMA, Journal of, you know what it is, Americans on such regimes have nearly doubled over the decade to 15% of adults. Now, I have a chart here on the telestrator, and it shows you the blood pressure medicine. About 27% of the people are on that. Statins, 17% of people, 13% on antidepressants. Anti-diabetics are 8.2%, excuse me, and sedatives are 6.1%. Now, at the bottom here, it shows you the 5 or more, the growing trend from 1999 to 2000 to when they've taken this to 2011-12. 15% of the population are on, wow. This is prescription drugs by adults. This is not just elderly adults. This is all adults. That's 15% of our population. That's almost the amount of people in jail. That's another symptom of our society. Then you've got 59% of the people That's almost 60%. Think about it, almost 60% of people are on a regular prescription of some kind. That's just mind-blowing to me. When there is so much information out there now that Paige and I talk about, and lots of people are talking about this, natural ways of getting over these things. And if we were just in touch with the natural world a lot more, I think that would go a lot better. I got a little comment on the chat room. Says, thanks, Nico, for the heartfelt perspective, a breath of fresh air on the current violence. What the Dalai Lama said was that he asked, when he was asked whether we should pray for Paris, and I guess it's in the article, but I guess we should pray for us. I don't know what it says. He couldn't link the article in there, but maybe we could look that up and see what the Dalai Lama did say, but I'm sure it's something inspirational. Let's see, what else am I talking about here? I was talking last night a little bit about, I'm going to do a little talk in January at CC Riders in Dunedin. And Paige puts on this monthly little clinics, about an hour and a half on Tuesdays or Thursday nights, and we have speakers that come in and talk, and I'm going to be one of the speakers in January. I was telling about the people, we were really so out of touch with things. I started having an interest in my health around the mid-'60s when I was graduating college. I had a friend of mine that was into macrobiotic cooking, and I really looked at that and really was into that diet for a couple of years. It never really stuck with me. I still had the same types of symptoms that I always had when I was a kid. And so then I went back to kind of normal eating, what people in the United States were eating at that time, which was the fast food industry was just starting, so certainly I was doing that. I was trying to stay with the healthy vegetables, so I had already switched my water, which was really cool. I started drinking distilled water because that was the only insurance I had, at least that went through the ultimate process of having just water. Wasn't really too worried about the natural minerals and things like that because I felt I could get that from my vitamins. Or not from my vitamins, but from my food. So then I remember in 1975 I moved to Florida, and I got to be real conscious. There were some new health food stores cropping up in West Palm Beach where I lived at that time. And so I started visiting them and started eating the stuff that's in the health food store instead of going to the grocery store. And I think that had a more positive impact on that. And certainly the girlfriend that I had at that time was right in tune with me, and we'd be fixing meals together and things like that. It was great. It was 1980s, I started thinking more and more about this, and I started reading more and more, and what was really popular at that time was called the 40-30 diet, which was 40% carbohydrates, 30% fat, 30% protein. And that was touted as being the nice balanced thing, and I was on that for a while, and that's the kind of way we measured things. It wasn't until the 1990s that I kind of switched over and said, geez, I'm still not feeling much better. I've got energy and I feel good about what I'm eating, but I still got the same problems. I still got the leaky gut. I still have my nervous stomach, as it was called when I was a kid. And I had bathroom issues, maybe a little blood in the stool once in a while from hemorrhoids, things like that, not pleasant stuff. And even though I had changed those things. It wasn't really until I started going into the deep hole of going into primal, paleo, Western Price thinking. First, I had read Western Price in college somewhat, so I knew what he was doing, not the extent of what he was doing because I was flashing over it. But so I read a lot of the stuff again. Internet really helps doing research. Of course, you get bad information as good information too. So I started digging, and the primal started making sense from an evolutionary standpoint. I really said, okay, this makes sense to me because if I was living out in the wild, I'd have to eat what's there. Just makes sense. There's no choice. It's not being flown in. It's not being dropped in. Nobody is giving it to me. So what we wanted to do was really look at that deeply. Now, I have Larry from Cheyenne on the phone. He wants to talk about neighbors. So let's switch course, and I'll get back to this. Larry, how you doing today?
Hey, how you doing, Nico?
Oh, great. Thanks for calling, man.
Well, okay, just on your own, you're great, too.
Thanks.
I wanted to, when you were talking about the getting along with your neighbors in case, things go down the tube, I just want to report here in Cheyenne, the barking dog, uncivil neighbor is alive and well. And I've got old-time buddies I meet once a week at the McDonald's for, decaf. Over the few years, a couple have had to move due to just basically the decline in civility, the common airspace, common roads. These are shared accoutrements.
Right.
And the young kids that move in, the millennial. I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just telling you what's happening. They just do not care that they park their dogs outside all day to bark.
Yeah.
And it's kind of Clockwork Orange light. I mean, bad attitudes like hostile, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So that's just my flip side of I wish we all could get along.
Yeah,
But,
it is a lot harder, and certainly with the younger population, I mean, it's scary in a sense. The kids are looking at all these little gadgets. They're not communicating even with themselves. When they do communicate with themselves, it's on a aggressive basis, I think.
I agree. The reports I got were just veiled aggression and stubbornness, and I don't, basically, I don't care. My dogs, I'm happy.
Yeah. And well, thanks a lot for calling. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
I agree with you 100%. Talk to you next time. Thanks. It is strange. It's. We talk about borders, of course, and I was thinking last night, I said, there's this highway system that we have. It's great for traveling, getting north fast, but it's also great for moving troops. That's what my dad said. They built these roads in Holland, and the Germans just waltzed in. Maybe it's better without the roads. Maybe it's better, going backwards instead of forwards. It's certainly, when the stuff hits the fan, we have to go back. And we have to go back to the primitive lifestyle. And that's generally what happens when there's a catastrophe or something like that. We have to survive on our own without all this. And I really do think we do it better that way. It's tough. We're not used to it. Many people will die, but many people are dying now. So I'm not sure it's a bad trade-off. How to do it, I have no clue. I'm doing it myself the best I can just by trying to touch base with people and build different communities. We have a great little community here in TFNN. I know if I call anybody in this place, I could count on them. I have that same relationship with the people that I train. I have the same relationship with the people that I teach at Jiu-Jitsu, and people that teach me at Jiu-Jitsu, and the whole community that's there. We have got a couple hundred people in that place that come and go. It's a nice community that you can count on. And we all have this. I have a little community with the people that I play music with. So there are ways of connecting, and I think today we've got to kind of change the way we used to do it, and maybe not so much with the neighbor, although that I think is much more of an answer. If I could just get the two streets of my neighborhood together and have maybe 30 to 50 homes that we could be friends and start sharing things and maybe build a little community of some kind that way. That's just the dream. I don't have that. But I think that's the way we can connect. And believe me, if the electricity goes out and we don't get the food delivered, we're going to be forced to do this. All of a sudden, we're going to be knocking on our neighbor's door saying, can you help me? Can I help you? That's the way we do things. And then if there are terrorists and things like that happened in France, we need to count on each other much, much more. We need to organize ourselves much, much more. And we need to also be able to take care of ourselves. One of the reasons I took jiu-jitsu up was in the back of my mind is I feel much better that I can take care of myself. I don't have that constant fear because I know if a situation came down, I would be much more likely to be able to handle it or maybe even stop it. I don't know. I've never been in that situation, but I certainly can relate a lot more to the violence and not turn my back on it because I can see a lot more now just from taking part in daily fighting with my buddies. It just makes your reflexes, it changes the way you look. You can actually see aggression in people. And of course, this new law in France, who is the judge of what aggression is? Like I said, my mother's little is a lot different than, it sounds a lot different. O sounds happy. Ugh sounds disgusting to us. In Holland, it's not the same thing. So cultures can misrepresent. You don't know what it is. So anyway, so what was I talking about? I was talking about this chart here and the blood pressure. And, well, we got lots of problems. The main thing, of course, is the drug is kind of masking things. And that's really what our society is about. We mask things. We sensationalize them. And it's all for good, isn't it? It's for commerce. It's for making money, which we have to do. You know, it's a world that we're born in, that we're trapped in, we're slaves to. And slaves, you know, it's not a natural thing for us to be a slave. I know one of the things I respect most about the Native American cultures here, they wouldn't put up with slavery. Most of the cultures, so the prairie Indians and things like that, if you captured them, they wouldn't do anything for you. Heck with that, I'd rather be dead. That's a different mindset. But that's a similar mindset to say, hey, I could kill you and kill me at the same time, I don't care. It's funny. You know, I was thinking this morning as I was having my coffee, I thought, you know, what the heck is, what is happening here with all this violence? And I'm thinking, the first culture that got civilized was kind of the culture that invented agriculture. And that's the Middle East. Now, is there a connection between being the first and being violent? I don't know. It's just something I think about, though. And the other thing is, too, you know, Europe was mostly bands of marauding people that swept up and down. But before all that happened, these people were pretty much peaceful, and they were pretty much hunter and gatherers. And then not until the hordes went in, which were the Middle East people, the Vikings came into England. But before that, everything was pretty much peaceful. But once they started getting invaded by the Middle East, all the way up to the Scandinavian countries, everything kind of changed. Same thing, relatively peaceful in the Americas all the way through till about the 1400s. And then they started being crowded out from the East by the white man, and that had a catastrophe effect on the whole continent as a whole, because as people had to move west from the invasion of the white people, they were crowding out the other indigenous people. And then the crap started. You know, everybody started fighting. But, you know, I really do admire the cultures here. And they're much more farther removed from what we call civilization, from agriculture, and they're much more peaceful, and they wouldn't put up with the crap that we put up with. So just another something to think about. I think there is a big connection between being what we call civilized. I don't think being civilized, I think it's more like being trapped. It's not our natural way of living. It really isn't. So that's what I'm trying to discover here. How do we as individuals, because as a group we're not going to be able to do it, but as small individual steps are taken, maybe other people see this, and then we can go on from there and create whatever is next. I don't know what's next. I know what's next. Got one more segment coming up, so stick around, folks. I'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Steve Rhodes as he teaches techniques on technical analysis using pattern recognition, celestial charting, Fibonacci, and other tools. The Trader's Edge, next on TFNN.
Welcome back, folks. There's a little article I found about the Dalai Lama. The question was, how do you view the terror attacks on Paris? The 20th century was a violent one, and more than 200 million people died due to wars and other conflicts. We now see a spillover of the previous century's bloodshed in this century. If we emphasize more nonviolence and harmony, we can herald a new beginning. Unless we make serious attempt to achieve peace, we will continue to see a replay of the mayhem humanity experienced in the 20th century. People want to lead a peaceful life. The terrorists are short-sighted, and this is one of the causes of rampant suicide bombers. We cannot solve this problem only through prayers. I am a Buddhist and I believe in praying, but the humans have created this problem, and now we are asking God to solve it. It is illogical. God would say, solve it yourself because you created it in the first place. And there's more that he said on this, but that's it. We have to solve this problem, folks. And can we solve it the way we're solving it? You know, I heard George Bush say this morning on the thing, you know, we need to use different tactics. We can't be too concerned about the civilians that are close to these terrorists. And that, to me, doesn't make sense. To me, we always have to have that concern. We always have to, you know, save our fellow human being. The other thing is, you know, if we can go over there and drop a few atomic bombs on Syria and just wipe out everybody, that's not going to solve the problem because of the mindset. The mindset over there is I don't really know what it is, I guess. I always think that because we've been there for thousands of years, we've invaded their space for their resources, not really sharing it with them, but only sharing it with the elites there. That kind of has a harpoon in the stomach of the indigenous people there, saying, someday, and I think that's one of the reasons they're attacking France. France was one of the primary people in the Congo, in the Middle East, in the whole desert areas. And of course the Germans came in there, but they were wiped out by the English and the Americans. But for hundreds of years we were there. So the problem is deep in there, for sure. We're not going to solve it on this program, but we can solve certain issues individually here. And that's the whole point for the program today, is take stock of yourself and determine what you can do for yourself, not only to make yourself healthy, but just give your brain a rest and, just look at these things logically and see of how you can calm yourself down, and then how to repair some of these things that maybe you've been lacking, and saying, I need to, sure up my house a little bit. I need to make sure I've got enough food if stuff does come down. I need to make sure that I know my neighbors so I can count on some people. Or if it's not the neighbors, maybe the people you hang out with, maybe the people that you play bridge with, the people that you hunt with, or whatever the case may be. Start connecting with these people and see if there's some like-minded people there with you that can share some of these ideas, and then come up with some solutions on an individual, a small community basis, so we can be protected at least somewhat. I mean, it's not painful to die, it's painful to survive. And we see this every day. It's really painful to survive. Get used to it, de-stress yourself, get a sauna, that's what I do, eat good food, enjoy some wine, and don't put up with those prescription drugs. Try to find different ways of doing it. Health Signals newsletter is out, folks, and of course Paige and I have our own businesses here, as well as TFNN, and this is the last page on here. I've got an interesting article about fasting on the last page called Perfect Health, but I've got articles in here that will make you think. I've got recipes in here, and one about turkey, so take a glance at that. $5 an issue, $10 a month gets you all the news you need to get your health signals delivered to your door, so to speak, your computer door. Thanks for sticking around, folks, and really glad that you stuck around to listen. And I'll be back in a couple of weeks. Next week is the vacation time for Thanksgiving. Yeah, enjoy your turkey or duck or whatever you have. See ya.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.